And action. Hello, kids. What it be, what it is, what it was. I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I don't know. These fucking preparations taking longer and longer, you know. I love doing this shit, gotta be honest with you. I'd rather be in a radio studio with 4 producers right now going, hand me that fucking article, will you, please? What's happening? Did you have a good Memorial Day? Did you? Huh? Let's get the business out of the way. The plugs, real quick. God forbid I had an actual sponsor to plug. Come see me. Side Splitters, Tampa, June 4, 5, and 6. That's a week from this Thursday. Side Splitters in Tampa is a great gig. My hard-drinking friend Bobby Jewell owns it. Then see me at Reds in Carlstadt, New Jersey on the 14th of June. That's a Sunday night. Sunday night? Can't remember the last time I did a gig on a Sunday night. Then Uncle Vinny's in Point Pleasant on June 27th. That's a Saturday night. Remember to bring your own booze to that one. People bring their own booze to that one. They don't have a liquor license. It just cracks me up. Ridgefield Playhouse, July 18th. It's one of my favorite gigs. What a beautiful venue for me to soil with my filthy mouth and attitude. In a this bucolic Connecticut setting, just a beautiful town with parks and green grass, and I'll come in and take a big dirty dump, pick up the check and get out. It's beautiful. No, it's a beautiful theater. It's really, really fabulous. I don't say that sarcastically. Anyways, what is going on? I don't know. I don't know what the hell you want to talk about. What's the biggest story since we last chatted? David Letterman. That's what it is. Because that was like on the 20th, I believe. What, Wednesday? Last Wednesday? So we haven't chatted since, have we? And, yeah, it's sad. It really is, man. Because, did I mention this last week? I can't even remember what I talked about. Maybe I should put some notes down. Yeah, I started watching him 1980. That's when he was on the mornings on NBC. And I remember watching one of the shows. At the end, they had some couple on who was celebrating like their 70th wedding anniversary, this old couple. And the credits were rolling, and they had crepe paper and sparklers, and some of the crepe paper and decorations caught on fire. That's when I said, this is the show for me. Letterman saying goodnight, and behind him there's like some guy stomping on flames like 2 feet high. Oh, fucking belly laughing. That's when he was a rebel and anti-TV, anti-Hollywood. That, and, when he went to late night, he kept that for a while, that attitude, when he was at NBC. But then at the end, it turned kind of corporate. But what are you going to do? You got to do what you got to do, don't you? I mean, Mama Mia. If you want to make the really big bucks, I guess. But here's Dave saying goodbye.
All right, that's pretty much all I got. The only thing I have left to do for the last time on a television program, thank you and good night.
Well done, Dave. Funny SOB, man. Funny SOB. Yeah. Definitely my biggest thrills was doing that show. Did it twice. It's funny, I could have done it a third time. I went with Joe List last year when he did his Letterman debut. And Bill Shep, who's a producer on the show, you see him all the time in the background. He's got a white beard, actually. The guy grew up actually a mile from me. I didn't meet him till years ago here in New York. We started chatting. I don't remember what the event was, but he goes, where are you from? I go, the North Shore of Massachusetts. He goes, me too. I go, where? He goes, Beverly. That's where all my relatives still reside, most of them. I go, where? But he goes, Ryleside. That was literally about a half-mile walk from the top of my street. Anyways, yeah, Billy Shep. He said, yeah, I said I was thinking about doing the show again, and he said, okay, and this girl came in, the booker, I don't even know her name. He introduces me and said, Nick might want to do a third set or whatever, and this was, again, last year when Joe List was doing his thing. So after the show, I start talking to her. She goes, okay, but no homeless stuff, no cancer stuff. She rattled off like 4 things, and it was so obvious she must have been familiar with my work. But it was such a turnoff. We haven't even got to the stage where you go out to the clubs and you test the set, and she's telling me what I can't do. It was basically, I think she was reading from a list of shit that Nick DiPaolo finds funny. Jesus Christ, was that a turnoff. Then I'm like, you know what, forget it. I got lucky. When I first did it, they didn't play with my set much. They made a change here and there. But that's what you do, folks, when you do Letterman or The Tonight Show. You go out with the producers, the week before or 2 weeks before, and you go around to the clubs and you show them the set you want to do, and then they tweak it. People, some of them have some stand-up experience, but most of them are giving you notes that have never told a joke in their life, and and there's standards and practices. You can't say this, you can't say that, and maybe if you cut this joke a little short. And the thing is, you've been doing those bits at that point for a year or two in a certain order, and you wrote them with a certain rhythm, and then they want to fuck with it, and it's really, that's why as much as it was a thrill to do Letterman and The Tonight Show and stuff, it's just an uncomfortable process because you can't really be yourself. Depends what kind of act you do, I guess. But I just moved back from Los Angeles at that point. I did my first one in June of 2001. And, I remember finding out I got the show and just, it was really exciting. It was just, went shopping. I think my wife was still in L.A., She was my girlfriend at the time. I remember going shopping for a new suit and shoes and just exuberant because I had been a Letterman fan for years. Like I said, watching it in college and skipping sociology every morning to watch Letterman and the late night show on NBC and just, loved it. Just loved his attitude. And it was a bit of a thrill. And buying the shoes and the suit, and it was just cool. And then going to the Comedy Cellar, I think you tape it in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, 6 or whatever, and then going to the Comedy Cellar that night upstairs at the Olive Tree Cafe, and everybody turned the TV up, and everybody got quiet, and you're watching it amongst your peers, and I mean, it really is a cool thing to be. When you first get into it, at least if you got into it when I got into it in the late 80s, Letterman was huge, and a lot of us got into it because that was one of our first things. I want to do Letterman or The Tonight Show, whatever. But more so Letterman because it was more edgy. And, absolute thrill. And then I'm on Twitter, and people, I had mentioned Letterman last week, and somebody on Twitter said, "Well, I can't find your set on the internet anywhere." That's because CBS owns it, and wherever they find it, they usually pull it down. But I guess I can host it on my site or some shit. I don't know. I'll ask my web guy. But here's some audio. That's the beauty of a podcast. Here is, let's talk about his Good Night Show, by the way. I set my DVR because I was obviously going into the city to work on my shitty little act. And I come home and I'm watching the final episode in its entirety of Letterman, cutting back and forth to playoff hockey, which has been friggin' fabulous, by the way. How you people can watch fucking NBA is beyond me. And you don't have to have played hockey as a kid. If you're a sports fan, you can look at the two side by side. Excuse me. Anyways, and so I'm watching the Letterman, the final episode. Blah, blah, blah. It's about to introduce the Foo Fighters, I guess, and my goddamn thing cuts off. I know the show must have went long, but, I it's a show. It never cuts off. I record Letterman all the time. And it cuts off. I didn't get to see him say goodnight and shit, which is, again, no biggie. I mean, back in the 80s, you might have panicked, but now I just jump on the computer, obviously, and watch it. But I'm like, what the fuck, really? It was a pretty good show. He had all those famous folks on, the huge Seinfeld and Bill Murray to do the top 10 list, and Chris Rock and Alec Baldwin, and somehow Barbara Walters made it in there. Don't you love when they have to lower the standards out of fairness? What the fuck did she have to do with anything? Yeah, motherfucker. Anyways, yeah, it was good. They showed some old clips. Him fucking around Taco Bell in the drive-through window with a headset on, fucking with people, and back when it was really funny and edgy. And I believe when Letterman goes, he goes, we've done 6,000 shows, and most of them have sucked. I think he really believes that. He's such a perfectionist. And here's one that sucked with me on it. My first shot was with Tony Danza was the other guest. My wife was thrilled. Did she even come with me? She was in L.A. I think she was in L.A. I don't think she was with me on that. My wife loves Tony Danza. Isn't that hilarious? I mean, she's had a crush on him since she was, 10. And he did a one-man show somewhere in Manhattan a few years ago. I took my wife, one of those Regency Hotel deals or whatever it's called. And I took my wife for her birthday. So you're sitting in a small restaurant watching him do like a one-man show. He sings, dances, and tells jokes. And, man, does he have cancer of the funny bone. I mean, malignant. Spread to his kidneys and his... But he was actually good. I mean, he's like somebody said in a paper in the New York Post, it's like something like very talented cousin or something. But he was really, you could tell, like tap dancing and shit. I mean, crazy. My wife's sitting there getting all moist. I'm sitting there fucking yawning. My eyes are watering. I'm eating breadsticks by the tons. And yeah. I told her she can. That's the one. You want to bang him? She's like, oh, he's old now. I'm like, shut up. Like that matters to you. That only matters to me and girls. Guys don't like older women. Like I'm fresh and taut. But I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But Tony Danza was on, and it couldn't have been nicer. His dressing room was next to mine, and later on, actually, when I went out to L.A., I had a deal with this. Might have been before that. I'm so bad chronologically. I am the worst. I had a deal with Katie Face Productions. Yeah, that was from 95 to 99. I got to go to his house, and I'm sitting on this couch drinking Heineken with him. He was he had just taken batting practice. He had a batting cage in the backyard, and then he comes in like his baseball uniform or softball. I can't even remember what it was, but we're sitting on the couch drinking a Heineken. And he's telling me how much money Who's the Boss made ABC and shit. And then his little daughter came in, and she's got to be, Christ, if this was 96, 2000, she was probably 4. She's going to be 23, 24 now. She was the most beautiful little girl I'd ever seen in my life. I don't mean that in a sick way, you bastards. I know I had lunch with Woody Allen. Don't get the wrong impression. But just the most beautiful little girl, and in this beautiful house, and then I had a deal with his production company called Katie Face. That was her name, Katie Face Productions. And I remember later on I had to audition for something that wasn't part of the deal. It was another production that he was doing. This was a couple of years later when I was still living in L.A. Went into the audition, and I was reading with him, and I was nervous. And I had already met him. I refreshed his memory a couple of years earlier. And he goes, yeah, I remember. And right in the middle of the audition, he licks his thumb and he wipes my face like I had something on it, which I didn't, that I know of. And then I had mentioned that to like an acting coach out there in L.A., and the guy goes, oh, what he's trying to do is make you, he's trying to make you relaxed. I go, really? By fucking wiping his greasy saliva on his garlic face, on my face with his spit? Kind of an odd technique, Maybe a shot of Zamboca would have helped. I didn't get whatever I was reading for. But anyways, he was the guest on the show. My wife couldn't have been more thrilled. I think she was more thrilled than me actually doing Letterman. But here's a little of my first Letterman set. turn it down so you people don't get all pissed off at me.
Guest is a very funny comedian making his debut on our show. Never been here before, so make him feel at home. You can see him next month at the Montreal Comedy Festival. Here's Nick DiPaolo.
The Stones, Beast of Bird. Yeah.
Thanks, folks. Nice to be here. I mean that because I lived in L.A. for 3 years. Good to be back in New York. New York City, they call it the city that never sleeps. How come I see people passed out all over the place? This city's exhausted as far as I'm concerned. You know? I think Giuliani ought to place the park benches with futons. These people can...
See, I couldn't do this if I wanted to do another set because I'm making fun of homeless people. But back in 99, you could. Or back in 2001, I should say.
Sleep anywhere. How do they do it? I mean, I got a $2,000 waterbed at home. I toss and turn all night. You know, these people, like, what's that, a broken Heineken bottle? Yeah.
This is old.
Yeah, could you put a brick on my head and keep the sun out of my eyes? I give them money, but they're nasty. You know, this guy comes at me, hey, can you help me out? I'm starving, man. I'm starving! I'm like, hey, do you see a chef's hat on my head? What am I, you know?
Enough of the clapping, for Christ's sake. But I'm getting laughs, too. That's hard to do.
What am I supposed to do? Whip him up a Reuben on the sidewalk? There's a pigeon a foot away with a loaf of bread. Go bust his chops. You know, he's a bird. He's doing better than you are. Then I see the guy the next day.
No, I'm doing a pigeon, walking like a pigeon. That was stupid. No need for that. But they liked it. They enjoyed it, the people from
everywhere. I'm in front of my building. Yesterday, a lady comes up to me. She's got more facial hair than I do. She's got one tooth.
True story.
She's like, why did he leave me? Why did my husband leave me? I'm like, I don't know, Smiley. You were hogging the dental floss? I don't know. I'm guessing your husband needed some time to himself. I've known you for 2 seconds, so I could use a vacation, you know?
A smart mouth on this guy.
The other tough part of New York is the rent, obviously. I'm paying $2,000 for one bedroom, and this place is so small you couldn't raise veal in this dump, you know?
Surprised they let me say that. That was controversial, actually. We had to discuss that one. And it's funny when you do a TV set, and as opposed to, you know, the way you've been doing it in the clubs. I used to say you couldn't raise veal in this shithole, and I must have said it 1,000 times that way. And then you got to make... I got to turn to the word dump. And that's the one thing that you fear, you know, if you curse a little bit. Probably not like a big problem for Gaffigan or whatever when he does TV, because his club set's probably close as far as language. But things like that, you're afraid you're going to drop an F-bomb or say shithole instead of dump and little things like that. And believe it or not, it kind of fucks with your head.
Type of place where I'm sitting on the toilet in the bathroom and doing the dishes in the kitchen at the same time.
That joke's been stolen by about 8 people since. Probably did it before I did it.
Ding dong. Oh, the front door. Yeah, come on in. Have a seat in the...
Anybody who's moved to New York and lived those apartments, I'm saying, any comic, I'm sure we've all touched on it. But I like my take the best, don't you? I'm sure you do.
With the 4 guys who broke in last night. You know, my bathroom is like 2 feet by 4 feet, but it's got that pipe in the middle that heats up to 8,500 degrees Kelvin. And I keep backing into it while I'm brushing my teeth, you know. By the time I leave the bathroom, my ass looks like a 16-ounce ribeye from Applebee's, you know.
I get to say Applebee's. And ass.
I can never get quiet. People living above me, it's never an old lady by herself. You know, it's always like 3 sumo wrestlers wearing clogs learning to tap dance. I'm coming.
3 sumo wrestlers wearing clogs learning to tap dance. That line was something about a woman, a 500-pound woman with a club foot, an obese woman with a club foot. It was much funnier and edgier and meaner, but I had to change it to like sumo wrestlers with clogs instead of a club foot, because I wouldn't want to offend the 2 women that are over 500 pounds with a club foot. You know, I'm sure they would have been picketing and limping at the same time in front of the Letterman studio. I had to change it to That's the one joke that they fucked with. But hey, what are you going to do?
Down the stairs, they're heading up with a gallon of Haagen-Dazs and a Gregory Hines album.
That was a nice fat laugh. You hear that?
I have like a militant feminist living above me right now. She's in the army, and we don't get along. We're always arguing about stuff. And I think women should be in the army. I don't think they should be in the front lines because women don't throw that well. I don't think 20 soldiers should die because Pam's grenade toss landed a foot from the bunker.
Would I be allowed to even say that today? Women can't throw that well? You can't say women and can't in the same sentence. I think you're actually put in that's like a year, 12 to 18 months in federal pen, isn't it today? Pretty sure it is. Thank you, fuckers.
You landed behind us, Shannon. This girl's like muscular. She goes to my gym. I think she's doing steroids. She's bragging how her bench press went up 50 pounds and she put 2 inches on her arms. She doesn't mention the fact she grew a tail over the summer. She's grown almost got like 8 inches over the summer. She's like tall enough to hunt geese with a rake. It's like
really, Nick? 8 inches over the summer?
I don't know what she's taking, but
fucking liar.
I went into her apartment once. I stepped on a piece of glass. I had to go to the emergency room. You go to the emergency room, you need immediate care. What do they make you do when you get there? Wait. I waited for like 2.5 hours. And this nurse comes out with this bitchy attitude. How are you going to pay for this? I said, with my life if you don't pick up the pace, I don't want to say there's a long line in the waiting room, but the guy in front of me is being treated for a musket wound.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Somebody gave me it's the equivalent of a rim shot, only with a guitar. They went, brrr. How dare they? They're commenting on my joke, the band, which is pretty cool. But they gave me a, brrr.
How'd you hurt your back? Fell off the Trojan horse, really. The head nurse comes out, is there a John Quincy Adams here? I had to get crutches. They don't even assemble them for you. They give you like a bag of wood and a bunch of wing nuts and a penknife. Who am I, Geppetto? I'm not good with my hands. I made one crutch and a 5-foot pepper mill. And I was like, thank you very much, folks. That's it. Thank you very much.
I changed that, too.
Nick DiPaolo. Hey, Nick, how are you? Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Nick DiPaolo, everybody. Nice job. That's very funny.
Thank you.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Come on over and have a seat over here.
Ooh, you hear that? I get to sit down.
Thank you very much. Nice job, Nick. Now, you see, you live in L.A. now, or you moved back here?
I moved back. I went out there to become an actor.
Oh, good.
I got one job in 6 years. The only acting I did was my parents called me and asked how I was doing over the phone. I was like, it's horrible.
Well, hey, listen, have a lovely holiday weekend and a lovely holiday Wednesday or whatever the hell it is. Thanks to Nick DiPaolo, Tony Danza, and James Earl Jones, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you Monday with Regis Philbin. Have a nice weekend. Good night, everybody.
Regis. What are the odds?
Stop it!
And here's the thing about the panel. I actually, it's funny. I think they scheduled for like 4.5 minutes of stand-up. I did like 5:55 or 5:50. So they must have needed the time. I went over, like way over. And they left the set in its entirety. And then when I did panel, I told a story. Oh, was that the second time I did Letterman? No, I only did panel one. Yeah, it was then. I told a story about, he asked me more about L.A., going out there to be an actor, and I told a little story about, it was me and the same 5 Italian guys. Every audition I went to, it was me and the 5 same Italian guys in the waiting room. So after a while, we started carpooling to the audition. I said it was me and Ralph Macchio and driving around looking for Joe Pesci's house, something like that, which that got edited for time, but they left in that. I believe I have that right. Have you ever heard anybody who does something that's like supposedly so meaningful in their life and they can't recall any of it? I have no. I'm sort of like Letterman like that. I'm not very sentimental, you know. I don't take pictures and shit. Lucky my buddy Greg Zook was with me when I did my first Letterman. You know, and you get a picture of me after under the Ed Sullivan Theater under the Letterman signage. I don't do any of that shit. I don't even when I did the Tonight Show. Luckily, my wife had her camera with her, and we got pictures with Jet. I do it, and I forget about it the next day. I'm looking for the next thing. Fucking Deepak Chopra or whoever the fucking guy is would really hate the way I live. I just, I'm never in the moment. Always, except when I'm on stage at a comedy club. But I'm always looking ahead. Everything's in a rearview mirror in 2 seconds, and it's like, okay, whatever. This is sort of my mentality. It's like, we'll all be dead in 50 years. It's not going to mean shit. Kind of sad, isn't it? Sure it is. But that's how that went, and that was a thrill, man. And sitting next to him was a thrill. And, yeah. He's going to be missed, even though it was, like I said, kind of a corporate show the last 10 years, or more than that, I should say. Right when I went to CBS, kind of got a little bit, boring. But he was always, like I said, I watched him because he was a bit of a curmudgeon and always wanted to see what kind of mood he was going to be in, and which I love. And then he's banging interns and shit. Come on. You got to kind of like a guy like, don't you? Sure you. What? So how was your Memorial Day? You know what I did? Well, I call it mucking. I don't know what it is, but I told you about this on previous episodes. I have that pond out here, and last year all this like green algae grew, and I threw carp in there, and I don't know what happened to the carp, but anyways, there's green stuff growing this year, but not like last year. It's not, the whole pond isn't like bright lime green. It's like this greenish, weedy shit. So I got this rake that I ordered online that I assembled. It's got like a 15-foot aluminum handle, and the horizontal part with the teeth on it is like 4 feet wide and has like plastic teeth that are 8 inches long, and there's a rope tied to the end of the hand, and you toss it into the lake, and you pull all the green shit out. Really doesn't have to be done, but, I just thought, I don't know, I needed a workout. And Jesus, is it a workout. I did that 2 days in a row, and that's what I did. I was drinking Heineken Lights and mucking my pond. My wife's on the other side of the house planting her garden. And I look like one of those hillbillies down in Louisiana that, jumps into the water and catches giant fish with their bare hands. I forget the term for that. But I'm just covered in muck and shit, and must have done that for like 5 hours straight. And you talk about when you pull that shit up, literally you have like 50 pounds of seaweed or algae, whatever the fuck you want to call it, on a rake. Picture tossing that in and pulling it and doing that like, 500 times in an afternoon. I couldn't even whack it last night. Fucking right forearm is just feels broken. It's not. But, that was my Memorial Day. That and watching, playoff hockey and watching Mike Napoli for the Red Sox go on a tear, finally. And that was about it. What was some of the shit that went on since I talked to you? B.B. King. B.B. Love B.B. King. He passed away. Actually, he passed away a week and a half ago, probably. But, even though the cops said they don't see any sign of foul play, he died on May 14th, by the way, in hospice care in Vegas. 89. And, one of the daughters says, I believe my father was poisoned and that he was administered foreign substances. Patty King and Williams said in identical worded sections of affidavits provided to the AP by their lawyer. I believe my father was murdered. An autopsy was performed Sunday. Test results will take up to 8 weeks to obtain and shouldn't be affected by the fact that King's body has been embalmed. Clark County Coroner Judge Fudenberg said. But statements yesterday say there was no immediate evidence supporting murder allegations. And that's sad, huh? It's going to get ugly again. Remember it happened with Casey Kasem, too, and who else? James Brown. It happens once in a while. James Brown. Have they even buried James Brown? I think he's leaning. They got him leaning against somewhere in the garage. They got him leaning against like a fucking snowblower. Like I'm going to do if my wife dies before me, because I'm totally clueless when it comes to estate, affairs. God, can you imagine my wife knowing that? I'm in charge with the paperwork, all that shit. Oh, my God. They're going to find her in a goddamn... They're going to find her in a dumpster behind Midas Muffler. I don't know what to do with the body. It started to stink. But B.B. King, man, I fucking love that guy. When I was a senior in high school, he played at Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, at this venue that I had actually done comedy since in. And, yeah, me and my buddy Bob Murphy loved the B.B. King. And we were standing right in the front stage. Wasn't that big a place. Standing right next to the stage. And it was over. I got to shake his hand. He reached down all sweaty and shit. I boiled my hand for 2.5 hours because it looked really... No. But it was a thrill to meet him, no pun intended. And there he was, larger than life. We had been listening to his records. And he's got that voice, man. Just listen to that voice. Just meant to do it. Well, I'm meant to do comedy, but if I bang out 160 nights this year, I'll be surprised. I'm really getting sick of it, I got to be honest with you. I like being on stage and doing a full hour. That's the only time I enjoy it anymore. When I'm, actually up there creating and having fun. But this driving into the frickin' city every night and working on 15, 20-minute set, it's just, I don't know. I guess it's necessary, but it's really getting to me, man. Fucking de Blasio implementing his $200 million infrastructure plan. I think I'm even low on that figure. He's going to tear up every street in every borough just to give people work. And it's happening, man. You can't get in and out. The city they're purposely... Mike Vecchione is a comedian. He comes into the comedy cellar the other night at the table, and you can see he's got like a pissed look on his face. He had just trying to... I thought I was the only idiot that drove in the city. Apparently he lives, in probably one of the outer boroughs. He was trying to get from the comic strip to the comedy cellar. The comic strip is like 82nd and 2nd. And it took him, he said, like almost an hour just because of construction. It is... They don't want you to drive in the city. It's so obvious it's intentional, and that's their plan. There's bike lanes everywhere. There's fucking lanes for suntanning and Times Square. Now they're laying out in lawn chairs. They do not want automobiles anywhere. Between the bus lanes on one side and bike lanes on the other, it's literally, the driver comes third. Maybe somebody think that's a good idea. And to that, I don't know what to say to you. If you think that's a good idea, you should move to Beijing. Because that's what it's starting to look like. Everybody's on a bike, and it's so goddamn frustrating. Oh, God. So, the fuck was I even talking about? Yeah. So, BB's gone, and nothing we can do about it. He's gone. You know who else died? Ann Mira. That's Ben Stiller's mother, Stiller and Mira, Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira. That's how old I am. I remember them being on, like, Hollywood Squares and the Merv Griffin show and actually finding them funny as kids. And she passed away this past Saturday, so condolences to Ben Stiller and his family. She was a funny lady. To be in show business for over 60 years, you understand how unbelievable that is? It's crazy. First of all, to live to your 60 is pretty good. But, yeah, that was kind of sad. I can feel through the microphone. You people don't give a fuck about her. All right, let's get to some dick jokes, huh? What was the name of B.B. King's guitar, everybody? That's right, Lucille. You know why I was named Lucille? You know the history behind that? He was playing some club that ended up burning down. He ran in and saved his guitar. And the reason it burned down, two guys got in a fight in a bar over a woman named Lucille. And something happened. I don't know if they knocked over a couple candles or somebody's lighting farts in the men's room. I don't know, but the place burned down. But he saved the guitar, and he called it Lucille. Apparently that was the name of the broad the two guys were fighting over. Might be all horse shit, but I kind of like that story. I'm going to keep spreading that rumor. Seeing as I made it up 4 minutes ago. No, it's a true story, according to BB. Yeah. The hell else? Memorial Day. Hope you didn't spend it in kind of a violent Memorial Day across the country. Did you notice? I'm talking to you. Yeah, there were shootings.
It's raining in Baltimore.
Yeah, it sure was raining in Baltimore.
Everything else is the same.
Yeah.
It's raining in Baltimore, baby. Everything else.
Deadliest month in Baltimore in 15 years. 24 shootings over the holiday weekend. Can you imagine? Over the Memorial Day weekend alone, 28 shootings and 9 homicides. Baltimore police responded to 6 shootings on Friday night, 7 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday, and 11 by nightfall on Monday. I don't think there were that many shootings in Ramadi, where ISIS has taken control. By the way, the world's coming to a fucking end. If you don't believe that, you know. Well, maybe not to an end, but it's real dark right now. One of the kids included in a double shooting was a 9-year-old boy shot in the leg. I mean, we are a third world shithole. We are a third world shithole. And okay, we poured zillions into Baltimore over the last 30 years. So there's your liberal fucking answer. It ain't working. You got it wrong. Let somebody else try. Your way doesn't work. And it's a democratically run. We've already been through this after the riots. It's been a democratically run for the last 50 years. Okay? And you're failing miserably. Same with Chicago. I was going to play a song with the word Chicago in it, but I didn't feel like putting the effort in. They had like 30 shootings over the weekend. Okay? So, give me a break. But here's the thing. When all the shit goes down, the witnesses don't say anything, you know? I mean, snitches get stitches, as they say in the streets, yo. So that's the problem. None of this shit gets solved. So don't complain when it keeps happening in the same neighborhoods. God damn, Baltimore. Too bad, man. I like that city. You ever been there? It's parts of it are beautiful. I'd say about a 3-by-3 foot area. I was sitting there, and I told this before, I was sitting there having lunch. I was playing the Improv in Baltimore. I go down by the waterfront, which is the, quote-unquote safe part. It's 1 in the afternoon, and a guy runs by me, a kid runs by with a red bandana with a knife chasing another guy. As I'm eating my sandwich. Beautiful sunny day. Holy fucking moly. Memorial Day always, is that when they do the biker thing, too? Didn't they do that in Miami? I think they put a stop to that. It'd always be, big shootout like the one they had in, not like Waco, but, damn close. Speaking of libs, big news today. The House just issued a major blow to Obama's illegal amnesty plan. President Obama, for short-term political reasons, announced he would issue an executive order. Can you imagine the arrogance on this guy? To grant amnesty to 5 million illegal immigrants. He did that a while ago. And I guess it was shot down by a Republican-controlled House. By the way, what he's trying to do is a direct violation of the Constitution, okay? He thinks he's a fucking king, this guy. So anyways, House Republicans voted Thursday to block Obama's immigration executive actions, though it was unclear whether the largely symbolic step would be enough to prevent a risky budget standoff next week. They have a three-pronged plan. I'm not going to get into it too heavily. God forbid we talk about stuff like this and not do the dick jokes. The legislation is a part of a three-step plan by House GOP leaders to both address Obama's immigration maneuvers and approve a new spending bill to avert a partial government shutdown. They're going to try this again? They're going to get blamed for it again. Next week, the chamber is set to vote on a bill funding most of the government through... Oh, I see what they're doing, see? The House, as you know, the Congress controls the purse strings, so they're going to fucking hold back funding for this amnesty thing. You see what they're doing here? But it might mean the government being shut down, and how that's a bad thing is beyond me. Anytime these assholes aren't fucking up. So that would tee up a new fight over funding for Obama's immigration policies when Republicans control both chambers. But conservatives want to have that fight now and use the looming December 11th deadline. That's when current government funding expires. Type of funding that leverages the immigration plan. I see. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You're going to get blamed anyways, Republicans. The media is going to spin it on you. But, here's to the Fifth Circuit. Somebody still has some guts left. He must be pissed, huh? Obama must be fucking fuming right now. Anyways, what the hell else? What the hell else? Oh, my other story of the day. I opened the New York Post this morning, and the headline, slain over a soda. Hunt is on. A sleeping Brooklyn man was hacked to death by his girlfriend's daughter because her sister refused to hand over a can of soda. Soda. Do you hear me say soda? That's my old Boston coming in. Yeah. Can of soda. Burnett Singleton, 34, allegedly stabbed Russell Holdip, 54, in the face around... I'm sorry. It's just we're fucking animals. 1:45 on Sunday. This is in the afternoon. In the family's Bed-Stuy apartment after getting into a fight with her sister, Charlene Kelly. At first, Singleton snapped at her sister over the drink. Oh, God. Hold on, folks. Thought I had something for this. Wait a minute. Hold on. Patience. At first, Singleton snapped at her sister over the drink and went after her with a knife. But Kelly dashed into her room and managed to lock the door behind her. So Singleton tried to get in to no avail. She then turned her anger on her mom's snoozing boyfriend. Jesus Christ.
I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it.
As Holdip slept in his bed, Singleton stormed into his room and killed him. EMS was called to the scene and rushed Holdip to Brookdale Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Cops are now on the hunt for Singleton, who fled the home after the stabbing. Authorities say that she is mentally unstable, and neighbors agree. One of the neighbors said, for someone to do that, you have to be mentally sick. Either that or a huge fan of Coca-Cola. No, we don't even know that it was Coke. Nice world. Nice fucking game, as they said in Goodfellas. Nice fucking game. Nice world. Can you imagine? She got so pissed that she just stabbed the nearest person. Could have been anybody. Guy's taking a nap. It says stabbed him in the face. Must have been like right through the eye and into the brain. You know what I mean? Because I got stabbed in the forehead once with a butter knife, but didn't do much. Yeah, it was a can of Sprite I had knocked over at a party, and I tell you, soda is that causes a lot of violence when you think about it. Right? It's a lie, Nick. Yes. That was my story, though, just to prove that, as Bill Hicks said about the human race, we're a virus with shoes, is what he said. And we really are. Really are. Got a new iPhone over the weekend. Finally had that mailed to me. And that was about 2 hours of my life to fucking back up the old one and implement the new one. And right at the beginning of the directions, they go, it's deadly simple. Not deadly, but whatever. It's dead simple or some fucking... Yeah, if you're a nerd who's never got fucking laid and played video games since you were 3 and are into all this horse shit. What a pain in the fucking balls. And, I don't know, it seems like it's the same phone, only a little bigger, but it does all the same, I don't know. And if you think I'm going to read to find out the difference between an iPhone 6 and whatever the fuck I just had, you're sadly mistaken, son. I can't take this high-tech world. Causes a lot of tension between me and the wife, too, because she's a lot better with this shit. And, you know, I don't want to ask her too many questions. Because I've been in that position where I understood something. You know, people keep asking questions. You want to break their necks. And my wife could do it. She got a bad meth problem. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. You know. I got to be honest with you. That's about it, kids. Yeah. But come see me in Tampa, will you? Thursday, 4, 5, and 6 of June. That's a good one. Bobby Jewell. Gotta love the guy that runs it. I don't know. I see him drink about 8 glasses of scotch in an hour. One of those guys, and you're like, it doesn't even change his... You're like, what the fuck? Did you spill that on the floor? No, I drank it. Doesn't even change his mood. And he lives in his big house by himself. He cooked me steaks the last time I was down there. Brings me this big, beautiful house. I think he said he was married, but his wife lives in another house. I mean, how cool is that? Gotta meet her. What an arrangement. Guy's living like a bachelor, but he's not a bachelor. I'm not sure the point there. It reminds me of that scene in The Sopranos when Tony finally separated from Carmela, and he's like shooting pool. So goes, so how do you enjoy the new lifestyle? He goes, it's beautiful. I can come and go when I want. I can fuck whoever I want. And Sylvia just looks at him and goes, so how's it different? So how's that different? Yeah, he's got this big, beautiful friggin' house. We pull in. There's like a new Harley in his garage. And he's a good guy. Takes me to a steakhouse the minute I get there. Keeps pumping steak in me. Maybe he wants me dead. So they did the BB King, you know. Kept giving him red meat everywhere he went. That's a big lie, too. What else did I want to plug? Another Senseless Killing at nickdip.com. Another Senseless Killing. It's still in the iTunes charts, folks. And my guy tells me that's pretty good because I sold a couple thousand or more on my website to begin with. If I didn't do that, it would be really, up there on the charts. But it's still in there. They list like the top 200 albums. But it's always in there on a regular basis. Go to nickdip.com. Use the code radio or Nick and get $3 off. And, you can eventually, real soon, you'll be able to rent it if you want. That'll be an option on my website, too, which is cheaper. But Buy it, please. It's really funny. People are really enjoying it. Critically acclaimed. I don't even know what that means. But another Senseless Killing at nickadip.com. Watch hockey tonight. I don't know. There's probably basketball on. But I'm trying to convert people to hockey. I mean, these series have been unbelievable. Just Rangers and Lightning. I picked the Rangers back in January or February to win the Cup because I saw them a couple times in February and couldn't believe how fast they were. And then they get Henry Lundqvist. But at that point, I didn't know that Tampa Bay Lightning had the offense of the 72 Miami Dolphins, the equivalent of unbelievable. Tampa Bay is unbelievable. And so they're up 3-2. Rangers have to win tonight or it's over. I'm pulling for Tampa. People go, why? I go, because a lot of those Rangers fans are Yankees fans, and we all know how I feel about them. And then in the other one, you got, the Chicago Blackhawks and Anaheim Ducks. And Chicago's been in the finals like 4 of the last 5 years. They're unbelievable. And Anaheim, they're like the biggest team in the league physically, and they love to hit people. And last night, they're up by 2 goals. Get this. Again, I'm talking to hockey fans. You'll appreciate it. Chicago pulls their goalie with about 3 minutes left in the game for an extra skater. That means they have an empty net. Okay? Anaheim has an empty net they shoot at. And anyways, would you believe Chicago scores not once, but twice within the final couple minutes and ties it at 4-4? That's unfriggin' believable. I should have pulled the clip. It would have been much more exciting than me telling you about it. Anyways, they go into overtime, and what happens? The fucking Ducks win in overtime. So I believe the Ducks are up 3-2 in that series. I hope I'm not wrong there. But I'm just saying, give it a shot, folks, if you've never watched playoff hockey. It is fast, violent, no whistles. And I see that LeBron James is a game away from going to the finals. And I'm a LeBron James fan, by the way. LeBron James fan. I can't even talk. I like LeBron. He just seems like he's all business. Doesn't seem like a punk. Anyways, I hope he gets there with the Cavs. That's it. All right, kids. I will talk to you next week. Until then... Good day, everybody.